Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. My name is Brandon Drum. I'm here with Parker Thune. We
We're
got
live on
Spencer
Twitter.
Forsythe on the board. Yeah, we're live on Twitter
Brandon.
as well. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Are we on Twitter or Facebook? Are we on Facebook too? Do we know
I
this
don't
for
know.
sure?
We'll have to.
Yeah, well, we used to be. I don't know. We chose Twitter because there's 100,000 different people between all of us, and
Exactly. Facebook is for
it
the
just
old.
makes a little bit more sense. Yes, we want to move the needle a little bit. Hey, this is brought to you by Olipop, and there is no Facebook according to our man Spencer Forsythe. So there you go. It is OU Texas week. Big day. And I know you guys probably hear a little bit in the background, and that's fine. And you notice the shirt because I'm in the hospital, and about 5 hours ago, baby girl Ava Marie was born at 21 and a half inches and 7 pounds. So pretty awesome deal. That is one of the most, being a boy dad's different, but being a girl dad, that hit different. I'm not even gonna lie, that hit different. So the Drum household is now a party of 5.
Folks, this is a man who never takes a day off. His daughter is 5 hours old, and here he is bringing you the juice on OU Insider Live. That's what we're about.
Trying. Yeah, trying. So hey, this is the biggest, and I'm trying not to get emotional. I really am. Like, this has been a big day, but yeah, this is the biggest week in OU football in how many years, Parker? When was the last time? Because OU Texas was it? Texas was, I guess they came in 2-3-2, 4-1. I guess in 2021.
21,
but the consensus was right. But the consensus was that Oklahoma was going to boat race them. Obviously, that is not what happened. They were boat racing Oklahoma for the first 2.5 quarters until Caleb Williams became Superman and brought them back to life. So, yeah, I'm trying to think, man, what outside of Brent Venables' hire, outside of Muleshoe leaving unbeknownst to everybody after I'm not going to be the head coach of LSU and all that type of stuff, is this the biggest week in OU football history? Not history, biggest week in OU football in the last 2 years, I guess.
Gosh,
since Venables
we should have made that the title of the YouTube stream. Biggest weekend in OU football history? Question mark.
Biggest weekend of OU Insider history. There you go.
Straight clickbait. But no, like, obviously,
yeah,
this is a monumentally significant week for OU football, because this is the point at which I think you can mark where the Sooners turn the corner. With a victory in year 2 under Brent Venables, you start off 6-0, and you've got a very easy path ahead of you to 11-1, 12-0, a berth in the Big 12 championship game, potentially a spot in the college football playoff. You knock off the number 3 team in the land this weekend, you have officially arrived. I think that much we can say about Oklahoma if they emerge victorious this Saturday afternoon. They will have equaled their win total from last year. Mm-hmm. They will assuredly be ranked in the AP top 10, probably in the 6 to 8 range, I would guess, next week if they knock off Texas. And if Dylan Gabriel is the one that spearheads the Sooners' victory, no doubt in my mind that dude's going to get a lot more love from the folks that pump up the Heisman Trophy hype. Because with what he's accomplished through 5 games, if he can put a cherry on top of the first half of his season with a dominant performance against the Longhorns, I mean, look, it's Caleb Williams and everybody else right now in the Heisman race. Let's call it like it is. But even so, Dylan Gabriel's going to put himself in position to go to New York City.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at all of so I'm trying to get over here to the scoring defense and see exactly
number
where.
3.
So we know
number 3.
Yeah, Oklahoma. You're right. Texas is 12th. Texas is 12th. Oklahoma is number 3. And this is I'm throwing all these stats out here because I am anxious to see how these two offenses, I guess, try to combat that. Oklahoma's number 3, obviously, in scoring offense, and Texas is surprisingly 30th. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. That shocks the crap out of me
And why is
because
that?
you would think, well, because I've seen the national media talk about their offense like they're the second coming of Jesus. So it is a wild situation. And by the way, that the noise in the background was a nurse and not nothing doing their job. Um so yeah, I just don't understand a lot of it's almost like people forget and just kind of throw away Oklahoma's offense and defense, and they prop up Texas. Yeah, they played Alabama and they played them well. But I think we've all noticed Alabama's not the Alabama of old. Correct? I mean, but that gets glossed over because I think everybody is so hard pressed to make sure Texas is back that that is their first inclination, is to pump up the Longhorns and kind of suppress the accomplishments of the Sooners. And that's not a homer take. We've all seen it. We've all noticed it on a national scale. You have certain people talking about how Oklahoma is the most overrated team in college football right now. And maybe so, maybe not. I mean, are you noticing the same stuff though? Like a lot of the national pundits just kind of glossing over Oklahoma more so than trying to prop up Texas for the exact same accomplishment outside of the Alabama.
Okay, well, okay, yeah.
Which
First off,
was a good win. That's a great
sure,
win.
yeah, okay, yeah. Obviously, Alabama being Texas's marquee win, that's going to be the main distinguishing characteristic between those two teams' resumes. That is entirely fair.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable win. Yeah,
Brandon Walker doesn't count. Whatever he says about Oklahoma, you disregard. But
oh, he's going to call you out, man. That's going to be awesome.
Brandon Walker is
I
okay.
mean, if it gets back to him, Barstool, they like
I
that
guess he
type of
does
stuff.
interact with basically everyone in his mentions. So if I speak his name,
Yeah,
it does probably get back around to him at some point. But regardless, obviously, Oklahoma is the underdog in this football game. Understandably so. Feels like they've got more to prove than Texas. Feels like Texas has more paths to victory. I think that's fair to acknowledge. But I disagree with the assertion that the national narrative seems to insinuate that Oklahoma is overrated as a general consensus. I do think there are some folks, well, I don't think there are some folks that have thrown that take out there. There are also some folks that are touting Oklahoma as a sleeper college football playoff team. And
right.
again, you take it all with a grain of salt until they play a marquee opponent. But there's a reason why you hear folks like Joel Klatt continually mentioning Oklahoma in their second tier of college football teams right now. And that's because what we have seen from this team through 5 games, there is reason to believe that this is the weekend where they turn the corner. There is reason to believe they can go to the Cotton Bowl this weekend and knock off Texas. That's very much within the realm of possibility. So that's my take on it. I don't know if there is a consensus nationally on what Oklahoma is or can be. What we do know is this: Oklahoma has the chance to put a ton of narratives to rest this weekend if they can knock off Texas, because it doesn't erase the memory of 49-0, but it underscores the fact that that's probably a different game last year if Dylan Gabriel plays. It cements Oklahoma's status as a CFP contender. It puts them in the driver's seat in the Big 12. And on an individual level, Dylan Gabriel has a chance to silence all of his haters this Saturday, because if he can go into the Cotton Bowl in what will be his only Red River shootout and lead Oklahoma to victory, there's nothing else you can knock the kid on at that point, because he will have led the Sooners to a 6-0 mark to start the 2023 season. He will have beaten a marquee opponent. He will have remained poised and calm and stable in the face of the most raucous crowd he has ever experienced as a college football player by a mile. And so, look, in this profession, Brandon, you find yourself rooting for people more so than teams. And Dylan Gabriel is one of those people where, if you've gotten the chance to know the guy, if you've merely gotten the chance to interact with him in a media setting, you really can't help but root for him, because he's a great person and a great representative for the University of Oklahoma, and obviously carried a lot of the burden of that 6-7 season on his own shoulders last year, whether he should have or not. And as the quarterback, that's what you do. You bear the responsibility for that stuff. And he's done that. He's paid his dues. He shook back stronger than ever to start this 2023 season and has a chance to solidify his status in the Heisman race, and honestly probably earn, at the very least, a cult spot in Sooner lore if he can knock off Texas.
I would agree with that. But before we dive in a little bit more in that, and before we really start talking about matchups and then get into some recruiting that I know a lot of guys and fans want to hear, that type of talk as well, particularly with October looking like it could be one hell of a month for the Sooners fans.
That's what's up.
Before it's all said and done, and we will get to that in just a minute. But we want to thank our new sponsor, Manscape. Yeah, that's right.
Here we go, baby. Girl dad doing the Manscaped ad.
Yes, doing it. I actually used their and I always the Manscaped beard trimmer, beard hedge pro kit the other day to tighten up the beard, and I used their handyman to use the edges, and it worked. So we want to thank them for being our sponsor. They have taken a step up from Balloween. Yes, we use the word Balloween on here.
Hey, no,
to
say
bring
it right.
Your face to clean.
Say it right. It's not Balloween.
It's Balloween. I know.
Balloween.
It's Balloween.
There you go.
Yes, Balloween. Yeah, correct. They're taking a step up from Balloween to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. So this season, no need to toil and trouble. Manscaped's all-new Handyman is the best way to get rid of that stubble. Featuring a compact design and next-gen skin-safe technology, the Handyman was designed to give you that smooth finish without the mess of a traditional shave. Get the sweetest treat this Halloween by going to manscaped.com and using the promo code OUInsider for 20% off plus free shipping. That's right. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code OUInsider, and you get 20% off your purchase. Plus, you don't have to pay for shipping. It's free. And let's be honest, fellas, no woman wants to see their man throw away their hygiene, right? And all women love a well-manicured face and beard. That's why I order the Handyman, to make sure my neck and beard looks the best it can all the time, particularly on our lives and our podcasts. My other recent order to make sure I continue to have an even fresh looking beard was Manscaped's big beard hedger pro kit, because it gives you everything you need to tame your mane. Manscaped's beard hedger pro kit is a cordless trimmer that comes with 20 hair cutting links in just one adapter. We all have like 1,000 adapters. This one only has one. And that means you can throw away all those adapters that are cluttering up your cabinets in your bathroom and all that type of stuff, and just use the Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit. All right. So whether you want to look fresh and clean, shaved, or you want to have a clean looking, well manicured beard, all you have to do is go and get 20% off and free shipping using the promo code OUInsider at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off and free shipping at manscape.com if you use the promo code OU Insider. For a look as sweet as candy, get yourself the handyman from Manscaped. All right.
Okay. So there you go. We got one more
There
bill
you
to
go.
pay. Bear with us here.
Yep.
Then we
Yeah.
got straight recruiting talk for the next 45 minutes. But like, we're in the middle of the season. We're traveling. We got more bills to pay than usual. So this episode of OU Insider Live is also sponsored in part by Caldera Lab. Caldera Lab knows the skincare world is heavily female driven and has long been the wild, wild west for men. That's why they're making the solution simple, starting with the regimen. The regimen includes 3 products: the Clean Slate, the Base Layer, and the Good. I've just started trying them out here in the last week or so. The Clean Slate starts and ends your day. The face wash leaves all types of skin refreshed. The Base Layer is your daily moisturizer to hydrate your skin and jumpstart your day full of confidence. And then the Good is your go-to multifunctional serum at night that helps your skin look tighter and smoother and helps reduce the visibility of wrinkles and fine lines. Every drop of that serum is packed with 3.4 million antioxidant units protecting your skin. Caldera Lab is the leader in men's skincare, made only with top-tier ingredients, and clinical trials have found 94% of men's skin showed an overall younger-looking appearance after using Caldera Lab for just a few weeks. 1 minute, morning and night, is all it takes to reduce your wrinkles, fine lines, and signs of aging. Join over 100,000 men who trust Caldera Lab skincare products by using code OU Insider at calderalab.com to get 20% off your first purchase. All right, back to business, Brandon. Let's talk recruiting.
Yeah, look.
Well, actually, here, hang on. Before we do that, let's hit the super chats. Let's catch up on our super chats because we have several of them.
Yes, let's do that.
Our man Brian Clinton dropped $20 and said, "Congratulations, Brandon. First box of diapers are on me. And I told you that being a girl dad is where it's at."
Yeah, I agree. Being a girl dad's different. I'm just starting to experience it, so I can't really say a whole lot. But I hope it turns out to be what everybody says it is going to be.
Brian, thanks for the contribution. I mean, that is going right back in your pocket. So
yeah, I know.
Mongo dropped $10 and said, "No corny dog for Brandon." Shout out to Billy Bowman Sr.
There you go. And then obviously we got the hundo from KW of Building Solar and Construction. Diaper money for the baby girl. Congrats, B Drum. Curious, would you all favor changing OU Texas game to home and home? I wouldn't, but I think it'd be cool to see a 50-50 split goalposts instead of a north-south end zone. Thoughts?
I hope that game never moves from the Cotton Bowl. I don't care if it's the only event held in that venue, and I don't care if 75 years from now it still hasn't received any sort of reason. I hope that game never moves from the Cotton Bowl, because the Cotton Bowl is a dump, but it is our dump. Everything about that game, everything that makes that game special, you can tie in some capacity to the venue that is the Cotton Bowl.
There's no suites, which means all the billionaires have to stand on the field and sweat it out like the rest of the fans, or sit in the stands with them. They have to be one of the people. And that is what makes that so awesome. It makes it so awesome because everybody is equal for just that one Saturday, at least in the stands. We don't know on the field, but at least in the stands. And that's what, to me, makes it amazing. And those billionaires mingle with the people and they act like the regular people. They're drinking the beer. They're eating the corny dog just like you. And it's probably... It is. I've been to several places for college football, and it is by far the best atmosphere. Not even close. Not even close. So, anyways, all right.
We got a couple more. Blake Wilson dropped $2 to say, "I believe that OU will beat Texas." There you go. Prediction on record from Blake. And then Kaysen dropped $5 to say, "Welcome to the Girl Dad Club. Such a blessing. Continued prayers for a healthy baby and mama."
Appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody. I look, I've read all the comments in the chats, and I really do appreciate everybody for all the congratulations and the blessings. It's been really awesome. All right. So recruiting. Oklahoma has been hot ever since September rolled around. Obviously, early in September, you ended up with Nigel Smith. Shortly after that, you end up with Danny Okoye. And then, obviously, here just recently, and actually just yesterday, Oklahoma landed Jonathan Hatton, the 2026 running back. And if I sit here and tell you guys that Oklahoma is not finished in the month of October, would you guys say I'm crazy? Because they're not. I know of two that could be looking to drop their announcements within the next 3 weeks. So and this is potentially, mind you. So I think we've hinted at one of them on OU Insider shortly after this past weekend. And I think Oklahoma's battling really hard for a couple of guys that are in the 4-star range in the 2024 class and in the 2025 class that could pop soon. Parker, over under, if I said Oklahoma by November 1st, they end up with, in the month of October, 3.5 commits
Total across all classes.
across all classes.
Are we counting Jonathan Hatton yesterday?
Yeah, he was
okay.
in
Well,
October.
then
Yeah,
yes, I would take the over on that.
I agree.
And what a pleasant
I
surprise
agree.
that was, man. Like, we could have sat here and done the post game podcast in the wee hours of Sunday morning and guessed 100 times who Oklahoma's next commit would be, and we probably would not have arrived at Jonathan Hatton, who became the earliest chronological commit of the modern recruiting era for Oklahoma. Bray
Yeah,
Walker
that's
committed in November of his sophomore season. Bray Walker was the guy that previously held that distinction. Now it's Jonathan Hatton, who has committed in October of his sophomore season.
So Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner were right after their sophomore year. Right after. Right. Yep. Directly after in the summer. So they were up there as far as guys that were really early on board and stuck it out. We're Jace McClellan, was he a freshman the summer of his freshman year when that happened?
Oh, that's a good question. McClellan may actually,
because it was that no, he leads. He's got to be it, because it was right after his freshman year, the summer of his freshman year, if I remember that, and him and Scooby Carter committed. So I think maybe they do hold the distinction of earliest commit. I may be wrong. I know there's some OU fans that probably know the exact dates of all those, and I know you probably can go look those up really easy, but we're doing a live, so we can't exactly sit around and do that. All right.
So amongst guys that signed with Oklahoma, basically, Bray Walker.
Okay, well then yes, Bray Walker by far. Yep. So we'll see if Jonathan Hatton sticks it out. It sounds like, I don't want to put a label on somebody this early in the process, but if there's one that might look to stick this thing out, it seems like it may be him. I do think if they would have offered Kevin Sperry directly after his freshman year, like they almost did, that one would have been done and over with, and that would be the all-timer, by the way, and not even close, because they almost did. They waited and just kind of kept building that relationship and wanted to watch him a little bit during his sophomore year, but he was already on their radar after his freshman season. So
Emmett Jones could have just locked down Booby Feaster this past summer before he ever played a down a high school ball.
That would have been insane. But he's getting love from everybody across the country, so I don't know about that one. Let's talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah, on that note, let's and I guess we'll stray away from recruiting for just a second. We're obviously keeping it all entirely OU centric, but Man, I know we talked about it on the post-game podcast. I think it's worth bringing up again on the topic of Emmett Jones. Man, these Oklahoma wide receivers are playing out of their minds right now. And if there is one
They
group
are.
that gives you confidence that Oklahoma can go into the Cotton Bowl and knock off the number 3 team in the nation, it is the way that those wide receivers are playing, because Dylan Gabriel has so much trust in so many of those guys, and so many of those guys have demonstrated the ability to go make competitive catches.
Yep.
Like, Oklahoma's passing offense right now, the way that they can attack defenses through the air, and as much as they can spread it out and approach it with balance and not have to rely on any singular guy to carry the load. Man, I love where Oklahoma's receiver room is at right now, and it is a massive testament to what Emmett Jones has been able to accomplish. It's all the same dudes from last year, pretty much,
Correct.
minus Marvin
Yeah,
Mims.
and you hate to and you hate to say that they weren't coached up last year, because I'll say this: as good as of coach as Kel Gundy is, if Kel Gundy's that situation never takes place again, you don't want to say OU wins this or that, just missing a coach. But I think that had a distinct I guess effect on what took place last year. And I'm not talking about just because of the wins and losses. I'm talking specifically the drops. And not just the drops in like the most precarious situation that Oklahoma needed to make that catch, that were destined to be touchdowns, whether it's a one I can think of. And look, Marvin Mims is an unbelievable player. He plays for my Denver Broncos, and he's really good for them right now. He is an unbelievable player, Parker. But he had 4 drop touchdown passes, like sure, fire touchdown passes on go routes last year, right? Drake Stoops dropped a couple. Theo Weiss had 2 called back due to holding penalties. Javonte Barnes dropped 2 touchdown passes, one versus West Virginia, and the other one, I can't remember which game it was, but one's where the dude just walking into the end zone, just slips out of the backfield, goes right up the hashes. Gabriel hits him right in stride, right off the chest and the shoulder pads. And I think you and I did the math on it. Wasn't it like almost 100 points left off the board last year with holding penalties called back, or clippings and or drop passes? And all those happened. They didn't happen in the Texas game. They didn't happen in the TCU game. No. They happened in the 1-score losses. All 5 of them. Changes the whole dynamic of that season. And let me ask you this. If Oklahoma catches, let's say 5 of those, and they were 9-3, 8-4 last year, is this a top 10 matchup right now just because of the optics?
Yeah, I would say it is. But look,
so don't tell me that doesn't matter because it's last year, because it's directly affecting Oklahoma this year.
And that is true.
It is.
Like,
it is.
It is. An undefeated Oklahoma isn't ranked number 12 in the country right now if they're not coming off a 6 and 7 year. We know that, like, history will testify to that. But
correct.
Sorry, I got us off track there. Let's cycle back around to recruiting.
You did, you bastard.
But yeah, the month of October, Brandon. I mean, you kick things off with a surprise commit on the 3rd of the month. Got a couple guys looking ahead that you're going to have the excellent chance to close on before the end of the month. Man, even as full as the 2024 class is getting for Oklahoma, with as early as some of these 2025 guys are arriving upon the time frames for their announcements and their decisions, there may not be a lull until the offseason. I think a lot of people figured, okay, you get to October, November, Oklahoma's class is pretty much done, and you can kind of ease off the throttle at that point. This staff's not doing that, and
No.
if they get to the calendar year 2024, like if we arrive on New Year's Day 2024, and the Sooners have double digit commits in the 2025 cycle, that won't shock me, Brandon.
No, I agree. I think we talked about that probably like 2 months ago when we both asked each other, we did it on the live. I remember because I asked the question, will there be double digit commits by the end of the calendar year in 2025 class? And we both said yes. And it looks like they're right on pace for that, bro. They're right on pace for that. And the lull that everybody thought was going to take place, as long as Oklahoma continues to win, as long as they could win, they could lose this weekend, but if they win out and at least compete for the Big 12 title and or make a New Year's Six bowl this year, let's say they end up 11-2, okay, at the end of the year heading into a bowl game, okay, let's say they lose twice to Texas. I know y'all don't want to hear that. That is a scenario that's a possibility. Let's say that takes place just for argument's sake, okay? Even if that took place, the fact that they went from 6-7 to 11-2 in one season under Brent Venables, you will see some things happening behind the scenes and in the recruiting, whether it's 2024 or the transfer portal, that are going to be unexpected to even me and you. And I believe that. I think they're working on things that we haven't heard buzz about yet. I think they're working on things that, and players that we haven't really put our finger on yet, right? So you keep winning, you keep building that momentum. You land the 25 guys. Let's say, for argument's sake, you land Grant Bricks. Let's say you land, I mean, I'm trying to think who else. Obviously, Daniel Akinkumi, Devin Jordan. Let's say you go 5 for 5, and I think the remaining 5 guys are Bricks, Jordan, Akinkumi, Boganowski, and Eddie Pierre-Louis. Let's say they go 5 for 5.
What about Reggie
That
Powers?
puts them out. Oh, and Reggie Powers. Let's say they go 6 for 6, which is again, distinct possibility right now, Parker.
30. That's 30.
That puts you at 30, but you're not done. You're not done. If just by chance Missouri starts to, and if you've looked at their schedule, this is a very plausible scenario. They end up going 6-6, 7-5. And they still have like the 35th or 40th ranked recruiting class heading into National Signing Day. And I don't think Williams Winery is even going to sign in December. Is he going to sign in February? Is that the plan?
I don't know, man. He's not enrolling until June, so he doesn't have to sign in December.
Okay, then my point stands. What if Texas A&M starts their downward turn right here, right now, this weekend against Alabama? What if, you can keep throwing out these scenarios. What if Oklahoma goes and starts trying to pluck away a couple of Clemson dudes that they keep taking a downward turn? You could end up with, and I think this is outlandish, but it's the NCAA signed a rule. They signed a rule just today saying, hey, guess what? You can have more than 25 as long as you have 85 on your roster. In the world of NIL, these coaches don't give a damn. They don't give a damn, Parker, about, let's honor their scholarship. No, dude, you're getting paid. It's produce or ship out. That's the world we live in now. Is it right? Is it wrong? I'm not the moral compass you need to be asking. Ask yourself, in the world of college football, nobody cares. All they care about is that you produce because you're making 60,000 plus at these P5 programs. Every freaking one of those dudes on that roster are making almost as much as the people that are in the stands, if not more. And some of them way more. So if they're not producing, those coaches are going to go, we're going to free up that salary for this other dude that we're going to hope comes in and takes his place and produces, whether through the portal or the recruiting. Is what I just said outlandish, not possible? It's very plausible right now, isn't it? Like, it is a plausible scenario that you could have 32, 33 guys, 34 guys in a class before the portal, before they start processing guys out, or if you want to call a spade, before they start cutting dudes. Because that's what it is. They use the word process to make it less. The one thing I will say, it is a politically correct term. The one thing I'll say is the guys that get processed or cut in college football these days, if they're from a P5 program, most of them land on their feet because that program that cut or processed them make sure they have a spot to land before they ship them out. But is what I said outlandish?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's outlandish.
You want to expound on that?
It's, I mean, those are two flip possibilities that we've been talking about for a while. Obviously, Wesco, between Wesco and Winery, the chances were always much higher that you would get Winery back on campus, because as long as Wesco adheres to Clemson's visit policy, he can't get back on campus. Missouri has no such policy, and Missouri also really isn't in a place to quibble about such matters with a 5-star talent. So if that kid wants to show up at Oklahoma, ain't nobody going to stop him from showing up at Oklahoma, right? Not the same, not the same song and dance with Clemson and Bryant Wesco. But how many people you figure, like, if I gave you the option in July, said by October, we're going to be talking about one of these two schools' classes falling apart, Missouri and Clemson, you'd have taken Missouri every day of the week. But here we are, and it's Clemson that has started off very, very sluggish in the 2023 campaign. 3-2 losses to Duke and to Florida State. And I think Missouri's going to hit a wall at some point. Missouri is, credit to them for making it to 5-0. That's not going to last forever. Not with the schedule that they play the rest of the way. And it's funny because a lot of those fans were very, very upset with Eli Drinkwitz after the Tigers had to sweat it out at home against Middle Tennessee State back in week 2. And now they are worshiping at the altar of Drinkwitz because Missouri has managed to reel off 3 straight wins and they're 5-0. And really, like,
all hell the front backpack.
How about a couple of
man, he looked like a front backpack when he jumped in that dude's arms.
Oh, man. But how about a couple of former Sooners helping lead the charge? I guess one of them is only a former Sooner in technicality, but Luther Burden is leading the nation in receiving yards right now. And Theo Weiss has been no slouch either for Mizzou. But yeah, I mean,
he's really good.
They're a better football team than I expected them to be.
Correct. 100%. They're good.
They're still going to have to fight like hell to win more than 7 games because that is a brutal schedule over the back half of the season. But look, Oklahoma never quit talking to Wesco, and we've touched on this, Brandon. This is a conversation that we've had before. Emmett Jones and OU never slammed the door shut on communication with Bryant Wesco, even after he committed to Clemson. And I don't know if you want to call it foresight or just doing the right thing by a kid relationally, but if ever Wesco were to reopen his recruitment, the relationship with Emmett Jones and the relationship with Michael Hawkins too, that would pretty immediately make Oklahoma a front runner, if not the front runner. But again, until the kid decommits from Clemson, kind of got to approach everything with several grains of salt. And as far as Winery, there's no telling. There really isn't. And likewise, the Sooner staff hasn't given up on that. I do figure that they'll get him back on campus at some point. But if he doesn't sign until February, well, if he's not enrolling until June, he doesn't have to even sign in February. He could carry that thing into April or May or even the month of June, like Josh Connerly and JT Tuimoloau did. I just, until there's a clear finish line in sight for that soap opera, man, some part of me just wants to veer away from talking about it because it's just, it feels like shouting into the void over something. And it's also probably because we went through the whole Peyton Bowen saga last year where we thought he was going to flip in March, and then we thought he was going to flip in April, and then we thought he was going to flip in May, and so on and so forth, all the way until signing day in December. So, yeah, there's only so much that's worth saying about a situation like that right now, but naturally, you look at those two players, they are 5 stars and bona fide 5 stars at that. You are leaving the light on for them all the way until pen hits paper.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Let's talk first off, look, if you're not on OU Insider, we need to get to this real quick. If you're not on OU Insider, you get it for free all the way to the end of the regular season if you sign up between now and kickoff on Saturday. So you have now to kickoff to get OU Insider all the way through. So you can be privy to everything that's going on behind the scenes in recruiting and team-related notes if you're on OU Insider, with everything that we do between Jesse, myself, Parker, Brian, Clinton, like the staff is loaded. Travis Davidson's on there. We do a lot of stuff to make sure you guys are clued in, whether it's recruiting, team notes, all that type of stuff. All you have to do is go to OU Insider, sign up, and type in the promo code section, type in Red River 23. That's it. Red River 23. If you go and sign up now, but between now and kickoff on Saturday, and go to the promo code, type in Red River 23, and you get OU Insider for the next 2 months free on us. It's free. Free. So make sure you go sign up, ouinsider.com, go sign up, type in the promo code Red River 23, and you can get OU Insider for free until the end of the regular season. All right. Here we go. This weekend's game, Parker, and we'll talk a little bit more recruiting before we end this podcast, but this weekend's game is the forefront of all college football. Everybody wants to see what these two teams, one has been down for one season, the other one's been down for 15 years. And they are waiting to see. That's not a shot. It's true. I wasn't a shot. I'm literally saying Texas has been down for a long time, and they're really good this year. So good. Like, I will admit how good they are. They are a really, really good team. Any OU fan that thinks otherwise, get your head checked. Because they're good on both sides of the ball. Their defensive line is insane. They may have the best, outside of Danny Stutzman, they have the best linebacker in the Big 12. And I don't think that's disputable. Would you agree with that, Parker?
I mean, he was the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. So, yes, I would agree with that.
So, there you go. You're going to get to see the best 2 linebackers in the Big 12 face off. You will see arguably the best 2 quarterbacks in the Big 12 face off this Saturday. You will arguably see the best 2 defenses in the Big 12 face off this Saturday. You will arguably see the best defensive fronts in the Big 12 face off this Saturday. And on top of that, I think the one thing Oklahoma has definitively on Texas, at least on paper, or at least from what we've seen over the last 5 weeks, first 5 weeks of the season, is OU secondary is better than Texas. And that is, to sit here and say OU may have the best secondary in the Big 12 almost feels like word vomit coming out of my mouth, because it's not something I'm aching to say over the last few, like we haven't been able to say that in how long? How long?
Gosh, Brandon. Well, and like we talked about it before the season,
2009?
and I remember expressing this exact sentiment going into the season. Yes, Oklahoma has all the pieces to have a much improved secondary this year. But how many times have we been able to say that in the past and then it hasn't shown up on Saturdays? So the secondary was, I'm fairly certain it was the position group that I cited as my preeminent concern for this football team, because I just approached it from the standpoint, okay, like what do we truly know about the secondary? Because I got a lot of things I think about the secondary, but what do I know about the secondary? What has the secondary proven? And to that point, the answer was, well, not a whole heck of a lot. 5 games into the season, they've got 10 interceptions, Brandon. 10 interceptions. They're ball hawking. This is not the same team. This is not the same secondary that spent years face guarding 40 yards down the field. I'm sure Sooner fans still get that. You have the mental image of Trey Norwood and Parnell Motley 40 yards downfield, back turned to the throw with their hands up in the receiver's face. You don't see that anymore. Nor do you see Patrick Fields, love him to death. He dropped 3 interceptions in the same game back in 2021. You're not seeing that either. When there's a play to be made on the ball, the Sooners defensive backs are making that play. And it's remarkable.
Yeah. So Mongo has a super chat that I'm trying to
if
find.
It's the super chat, I think it is. I wasn't really sure how to approach that.
What was the question?
It wasn't
Mongo, can you repeat it?
It wasn't
what
a
was
question.
The statement? What was the statement, Mongo? I apologize. I got sidetracked on it.
Okay. Well,
can you find it?
It's kind of an odd mental image, but I guess it's not graphic, so I can say it. Mongo's exact words were, Steve Sarkisian sings Pop Goes the Weasel during coitus. Okay. Those were his words.
During coitus? Is that what he said?
Yes.
Sounds like fair enough, Mongo. I haven't heard the word coitus used in a long time. I think Big Bang Theory was that and Big Bang Theory with what's his name?
Sheldon Cooper.
Sheldon Cooper, yeah. It's a very Sheldon Cooper. All right. Anyways, that sidetracked me there for a second. So the secondary, look, Oklahoma probably has the best. I don't think probably. I think they have the better secondary. Statistically speaking, 100% has the best secondary between the two. They lead the nation in interceptions. So that's number one. Number two, what other position could you pinpoint and say, yeah, Oklahoma definitively is better? Actually, let's do this. Parker. I'm going to say the position, and you say Texas, Oklahoma, and I'll do the same on who I think is better. Okay.
Okay. I can
quarterback.
Oklahoma.
Quarterback. You were quick, and see, I can't be that quick with that, though.
Well, I've been asked that question several times already.
So you're going not just starter, you're going depth as well. Oklahoma. I'll go Oklahoma there too.
No. All right. No. I'm talking about the guys that we will actually see on Saturday. And we may see Jackson Arnold for 4 or 5 snaps if they decide to use him in certain packages, but no, I think Oklahoma has the advantage at quarterback. Dylan Gabriel over Quinn Ewers, in my mind. I give Oklahoma the edge at quarterback.
Running back,
Texas.
Yep.
Texas has the better backfield right now.
Tight end.
Texas, if Jatavion Sanders plays. That's the asterisk.
Fair enough. They use their tight end differently. They're completely different tight ends. One's an inline guy more now, and the other is kind of a flex tight end. So completely different. If we're talking blocking, I'll go Oklahoma. If we're talking just versatility, I'll go Texas just because of how athletic Sanders is. Offensive line. This
Texas.
is where it starts to get. You were quick on that.
Yeah. I'm running through this whole. I'm running through every position group on the roster mentally much faster than we're actually hitting these. So I'm preparing my answers ahead of time. I think Texas has the better
Okay,
offensive line.
so expound on that because pass blocking, I would say Oklahoma's better.
I think
Run
Texas.
blocking, both. If you want to combine both, yes, Texas is better. But if I said pass blocking, you would probably say Oklahoma, right?
Sure. Yeah. I think
Okay.
on the whole, I'm looking at this
On
from
the whole,
a big picture perspective. I think
correct.
it's close, but I give the advantage to Texas.
Yeah, I agree with that. Defensive line. This is where it starts to get a little tricky.
Oh, were we gonna? What we didn't get to wide receiver.
Oh, wide receivers. What? But I would say Texas just because they have AD Mitchell and
Well,
Xavier
yeah, and
Worthy.
that is a tough one because with wide receiver, like, what do you factor, or do you favor star power, or do you favor depth? Because I think Oklahoma's got a lot more depth in terms of
I
how
agree
many
with that.
guys they can burn you with, but AD Mitchell and Xavier Worthy are probably the two best wide receivers on the field Saturday. So
Yeah. So
that's one I can go either way on, depending on how you interpret it.
okay. Complete wide receiver position, complete wide receiver room. Who's better? It's still hard because you
It's still,
have to weigh in those two stars because they're so freaking good.
yeah, if we're talking a complete, well-rounded group of receivers as opposed to just star power at the top, like I think Texas has the better starting core. I think Oklahoma has the better overall core if you're starting to dig into the bench.
Okay.
And then defensive line,
Tough.
I think Texas is better on the interior. I think Oklahoma is better off the edge.
I agree. That is kind of how I looked at it too. Oklahoma's so deep at defensive end, and they have so many explosive guys.
Yep.
That can not only can they rush the passer, they're athletic enough to drop in coverage and be an actual zone cover or man out of the backfield. If their key is the running back, PJ Adebawore, Trace Ford, Ethan Downs. I don't think Rondell Bothroyd could, but for the most part, they have 4, 5, 6 guys that can run step for step with a lot of running backs. They're that fast, straight ahead runners.
Yeah.
So, linebacker. This is the tough one.
Oklahoma. I think it's Oklahoma.
Why?
For one, Danny Stutzman. I think the best overall football player on the field Saturday might be Danny Stutzman. And I think he just adds so much, and he is capable of doing so much that kind of sways me in favor of OU. But again, you look at the other guys that Oklahoma can roll out at linebacker, and what we've seen this year from guys like Kip Lewis and Kobe McKenzie, albeit in limited action, and what we've seen at times from Desan McCullough. I think on the whole, I give the edge at linebacker to OU.
Okay, so the thing, this is how I look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong. All right, who are the best two linebackers for Texas in your mind? All right, you got Jalen Ford. Who's the second best in your mind? Would it be Anthony Hill?
He's young, man, but he's also such a freak that, yeah, it might be Anthony Hill.
Well, yeah. All right. So here's the thing: is I went and looked at all their linebacker roster, and I'm a big Jalen Ford guy. Obviously, I'm a big Anthony Hill guy. I also think Cecilia Khan is going to be good eventually. Samaj Burrell is going to be good. Ethan Burke, we already know he's a good player. So they've got Leona LaFou is also a good player. They've got some really good depth. Now, on Oklahoma's side, I look at it like this: is that again, like you said, Danny Stutzman, I think, is probably the best overall player on both sides, and that's hard. That is like if you were going to tip the scale, I think the scale would be tipped kind of like this, like barely tipped Jalen Ford, Danny Stutzman. So I I think Jaron Canick's just going to be an absolute star before the end of the season, and he's getting there. He makes some really bad mistakes, but they're mistakes that a first year starter is going to make. He makes up for it with his athleticism a lot of times as well. And then when you throw in Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, Lewis Carter, those type of guys backing up, and just their athleticism, their pure speed, and the fact that they played quite a bit this year, I'll take Oklahoma on that, but it is by the ever so slightest of margin. All right, cornerback position. This is where it gets easier again. It's Oklahoma.
I think OU has better corners. I think OU has better safeties. I think OU
Agreed
has a
and
better
agreed.
overall secondary.
Agreed. I think we've already talked about that. We both agreed. Special teams.
Gosh. Oklahoma
It's got to be Texas, right?
is at a stiff disadvantage in the kicking game, both place kicking and punting.
Yeah. But the return game, I like
Return,
Oklahoma's return game.
Oklahoma's got something as far as return, and also as we saw
Freeman and Farouk.
Well, and as we saw with Peyton Bowen last week, and you rewind to the SMU game too, special teams doesn't just mean punting, kicking, and return.
Yeah. No, I think Oklahoma's probably more versatile with their special teams. At least that's what we've seen for again, people, Texas fans watching, I get it. You guys are going to sit there and say Homer. We're going off the first 5 games. Peyton Bowen has 2 blocked punts in the first 5 games of the season. He's only a true freshman. Like that happens maybe once a year. To happen in the first 5 games and it'd be one person doing it both times. Come on now. And then you obviously have Gavin Freeman. You got Jalil Farouk. Jalil Farouk seems like he's just lightning in a bottle when he has the ball in his hands. So anytime you get him out in space and you get him with a full head of steam going speed wise, he's hard to tackle. He's an ex-running back, and you can tell when he has the ball in his hands. He just fills the space so well. All right. Before we close this out, let's do it. Let's get our predictions in and then talk a little bit more about recruiting, and then we're done.
Okay.
All right. OU Texas this weekend. What do you got? It's only Wednesday night. Things are going to change. We're probably going to change our picks 2 or 3 times. You're going to pick Oklahoma, aren't you? I can see the smirk on your face.
Well, I'm having to lock it in for the first time all week because it's typically not till Thursday or Friday that I get asked for the first time. What's your actual prediction for this game? I am going to say Oklahoma gets it done. I'm going to say Oklahoma wins the football game. I think it's a hard-fought battle. I think it's a back-and-forth battle. In the end, what I think it comes down to is Dylan Gabriel making a few plays that Quinn Ewers doesn't. Not that Quinn Ewers isn't capable of making plays, but when it comes to winning the turnover battle, I think that's going to go a long way towards dictating the outcome of this game. And I trust Dylan Gabriel more than I trust Quinn Ewers not to turn the football over. And so that is the razor's edge for me. I like Oklahoma in a tight ball game.
Score?
Oh, did I not say it? I said 34-31. I thought I did. Maybe I just said it in my head.
No, you didn't say it. That's why I was sitting here waiting. 34-31. That was mine, except for I had it Texas
Oh,
to
okay.
start the week. But I've been doing a lot of thinking. Just had a baby girl today.
Pump that
I'm
sunshine,
feeling
baby.
good about this week. Yeah, yeah,
Pump
yeah.
that
I'm feeling
sunshine.
pretty. I'm feeling pretty good about the week. It's always good for OU Insider if Oklahoma wins. I'm a businessman. We're businessmen, Parker. So, for the sake of our business, I'm picking Oklahoma. But I'm not just picking it just for the business. Here's why I'm going to pick it, actually.
Oh, he's about to
Been
call
doing
a
a lot of things.
blowout. 52 to
So what?
14.
No,
Oklahoma.
no, no. I have 28-24 Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to be so wrong. It's not even funny. This season has been so much like 2017 as far as the running game goes, as far as the offensive line production goes. Some of the issues that have compounded both sides. People remember, and also let's also remember. No, the outcome was completely different. In 2017, Oklahoma played Iowa State, Game 5 of the season. So it's eerily similar to 2017 on a lot of aspects. This time, the OU is going to get a bye week and then play Kansas instead of going and playing K-State, but they're both away and they're both in Kansas. So I'm just connecting the dots here. Oklahoma finds their running back just like they did in the second half of the game in 2017 and then roll over after the bye week. And a certain guy by the name of Rodney Anderson came out and played huge for Oklahoma. Who runs like Rodney Anderson, you might
Evan
ask?
Sawchuk does.
100% he does. Same body frame, same running style, very speed oriented, not the strongest between the tackles, but if you get them outside, you get them in space, they're really hard to tackle. They can do some things with their legs. He's getting much stronger with his running power. He's coming back from a hamstring injury, just like Rodney Anderson was in 2017, and that's what held him back through the first several weeks. He wasn't in game shape. I'm calling it. He has the breakout game. Texas may have, but I think they have like a top 5 rush defense in college football. I think Oklahoma has a 100-yard rusher, and that is Gavin Sawchuk, because he breaks a long one. He may not get a whole bunch of yards up to that point, but I think he breaks like a 65-yarder and really opens things up for Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma's defense comes up with another big play like they have all season, and Oklahoma wins the game 28-24. Mark it down. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm calling it now. So, anyways, before we end recruiting, let's talk about Grant Bricks. Let's talk about Michael Boganowski. Let's talk about Eddie Pierre-Louis, and then let's wrap it up, because I think those are the 3 names that everybody's really, really focused in on as far as 2024 recruiting. And they're the 3 names that are, if Oklahoma was to somehow land all 3, they would bump up, I think, to the number 3 class in the country.
Yeah, that
Number
would be
2 or
big
number
time
3,
for
I
this
can't remember.
program.
It would be huge for Oklahoma.
Um,
Huge for Oklahoma. So go ahead.
I will say this. Obviously, if you're the Oklahoma staff, you don't love to see your targets taking in-season visits to other schools. But if there was a week where you didn't mind Eddie Pierre-Louis being in Orlando in person to watch a UCF game, it was this past Saturday, because UCF raced out to a 35-7 third quarter lead against Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bears dropped 29 unanswered to win the game 36-35. So, all that to say, good news as far as OU is concerned.
Yeah.
Trend
We've had a pick in for a while.
upward, and we have had predictions in since last month in favor of
Mhm.
Oklahoma for EPL. I do like where the Sooners sit there. He intends to return to campus on October 21st, and that should be enough to seal the deal, assuming Oklahoma takes care of business against UCF. With Bricks, I don't know. Like, what is abundantly clear at this point, and I was talking to a source that's as good as it gets the other night, and he said, "Look, it's all about whether the kid is willing to leave the comfort of his own backyard at this point, because there is no other reason right now to commit to Nebraska. There just isn't. Nebraska's 2-3 with victories over Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech. They were a long garbage time touchdown run away from getting shut out last weekend against Michigan. That program is not in good shape. And admittedly, if you're a believer in what Matt Rule has done and is doing in Nebraska, you're not entirely dissuaded by the 2-3 start. But objectively, with where those two programs are at and where they're going, it's pretty clear that from a football standpoint, Oklahoma is the superior option to Nebraska. But the kid's different. We've said it 1,000 times. If Nebraska cannot be disregarded until the final pick is made, simply because they are that close to home, the closest P5 school to the kid's hometown of Logan, Iowa. And so that's my read right now on the Sooners' top 2 offensive line targets. I do feel they get both. Again, I've had the prediction in for EPL to Oklahoma for a couple weeks now, and it's been over 4 months since I entered the prediction for Bricks to OU. Just had a good feeling about that one. We'll see if Bill Bedenmo and the Sooners can close it out. But right now, I would say they tack on Daniel Akinkunmi next week, and I would say they close out that offensive line class with 2 national top 100 prospects.
So you're going to leave me with Boganowski. All right. This one's been very back and forth for quite some time. Michael Boganowski, the 4-star athlete that Oklahoma's been pushing for the last, I mean, they've been going at him really hard, I guess, for the last 8-9 months for the most part. And Brandon Hall has built a really solid relationship with him and his family. And I would say, as Oklahoma continues to play well, and as Jaden Hardy continues to build a solid relationship with Boganowski, I'm starting to believe that Oklahoma has a chance to pull this one off. I've thought that for a while, but I'm getting more confident. I'm getting more confident just because of some of the things I'm hearing. I would be shocked if a decision wasn't made by the first week in November or so, maybe before that. I actually wouldn't be shocked if it happened before Halloween. 100% telling y'all this. Like, I am starting to get, just from talking to people around him, you get a sense that they're ready to wind this thing down. Now that it's up to Michael to wind it down for him, because they're not going to do it for him. He's got to make the decision. He's got to come up if he likes K-State or Oklahoma the best, or if it's going to be Florida State or Kansas. I know Kansas has been trying to make a late surge. He's got 4 really strong programs that are pushing hard for him. But at the end of the day, it just feels like Brandon Hall and Oklahoma and K-State and Coach Stannard are just duking this thing out really, 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 like just laying haymakers back and forth. Right now, it feels like K-State may be stumbling up against the ropes a little bit, but they live right next to K-State, 15 minutes from the campus. They have a game I think this weekend in Manhattan. So you look at it like that and you say, this is a nail biter, but at the end of the day, I pick Oklahoma. I'm going to stick with that pick. I feel confident in the pick, and I think you're getting close to a decision from him now. When he comes up with a date or anything like that, we'll let you all know. But right now, it feels like that's the way things are trending, is that they're trying to wind this thing down, and Michael Boganowski's trying to wind this thing down while those two programs sit there and lay haymakers. Oklahoma, it seems like they've got the last one in recently. And we'll see if K-State gets up off the ropes and starts landing them back. But I like Oklahoma right now. I really do. I like Oklahoma a lot right now. So we'll see where it goes from there. We'll see where it goes from there. All right. Again, if you're not on OU Insider, go right now, click on sign up, click the promo code, type in Red River 23, and you get OU Insider for 2 months, all the way to the end of the regular season. So I believe all the way up to December 1st. So, or right after the Big 12 title game, something to that extent. Like, you get OU Insider for free. That means you stay in touch with all things Oklahoma recruiting, all things team related, all things basketball, softball. Look, Jesse Critton just dropped a fantastic softball note here recently on one of the Sooners, or excuse me, women's basketball note recently on one of the Sooners' top freshmen from last year, that there has been some rumblings of some news. So we cover that. We cover softball. We got that covered. Jesse Critton has that covered for you. Baseball will be covered by, I believe, Parker, are you covering the baseball this year? I believe a little bit. Yes,
Baseball,
no, maybe.
gosh, we haven't even hashed that out
We'll
yet.
have it covered. Yeah, we're trying to hash that out. But we will have baseball covered for you guys as well. Baseball, softball, men's, women's basketball, anything that's OU related, OU Insider, we cover it as best as we possibly can, and particularly basketball, football, softball. We are on top of, and baseball. We are on top of that all the time, and dropping recruiting notes, dropping team notes all the time. So go to OU Insider, sign up, type in the promo code Red River 23 between now and kickoff on Saturday, and you get OU Insider for free all the way through the regular season. All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners YouTube Live, powered by Olipop. For my man Parker Thune, for my man Spencer Forsythe on the board. My name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.